Friday night, because we have a class number 31 starting on Sunday. So it's always hectic here Saturday trying to get everything ready. So tonight's topic is, what is tonight's topic? Scrapers. Also going to do something nice tonight. How many people do we have on before I announce this? Yeah. Fricks. How many? 109. We'll let it build a little bit. I'm going to bring, wanted to change this up a little bit. We've been talking about how to make this refresh. We've been doing this for how long? So 4 years, 5 years. Anyway, I'm going to bring somebody on tonight, a special guest, and fire a question. While we're waiting, Frick's on his way. Jake's behind the, in Frick's place. Give me a question when you have one.
Jerry
Can they hear you?
Jerry in Salt Lake City said file to
Jerry.
brochure. Sorry. No.
Jerry's not in Salt Lake City?
No, he isn't. But Dave Murdy's is in Lake Jackson, Texas, and he said, I'm new to using card scrapers. What are some surface prep and or finish situations where they would be the right tool to use, and when should I use something different?
Okay, say that again so I can internalize it. You're talking about card scrapers, like that.
Yeah. So what are some surface prep and or finish situations where they would be the right tool to use?
Okay. So I'm not talking about preparing the scraper, but actually using it. Well, first and foremost, the harder the wood, the better it scrapes. So here's a piece of Vera wood. Should get my, just let me grab my cheat sheet. Softwoods do not work well at all. And what I have here is a Janka scale chart. And it gives you the hardness. This is getting faded, Jake. We need a new one. It gives you the hardness of all different woods. No. There's my Janka scale. So if we look at, as I said, the harder the wood, the better it scrapes. Argentine lignin, that's Vera wood. So that registers 3,600. So just to give you an example, most people consider eastern maple to be hard. So eastern maple is right here, and it is 1,450. So we're talking about something that is twice as hard, 3,600. And I got a piece of Cocobolo right there, and Cocobolo comes in at, any idea, Jake? Central America? Cocobolo is 29.60. So again, twice as hard. So the harder the wood, the better it is, better it scrapes. Or even on domestic woods, I'll use it sometimes. If you get an area where, if you've got a large surface and you got a little area where there's some torn grain, you can go in and you can scrape that one area. And the nice thing is you can flex the scraper so you don't have to surface the entire, great big swath. You can just go in that little area. And you don't want to make too much of a depression. And the other place where I really like to use scrapers, and I get the guys using them here too, when we send out everything that we make, we spray lacquer. And the shooting boards, it just takes literally seconds to scrape the finish between coats on a shooting board, as opposed to sanding. And then you've got this white sanding dust, and it falls into all the pores if you're using open porous wood like oak or walnut. And you got to sit there and try to get that all out with an air hose, just in case it doesn't dissolve with the next coat. You go in there and scrape. Oh, my goodness. You do it once, you'll never go back. So that's 3 examples I can think of. Next, Jake.
Next up is Brian from DC.
Brian?
What are the pros and cons or different usages of different thickness scrapers?
All right, so we sell 2. This is 35,000? 30 and 20, is that what we do?
Yeah,
or 30 and 15?
35 and 20.
35 and 20? So there's the 2 scrapers that we deal in. So this one I like. if you're, this is the one I probably use the most, which is the 35 thou. It's got some meat to it. It doesn't bend nearly as easily. This one, if you're doing a curved surface, I mean, you can bend that quite easily and literally conform to an irregular surface, whereas that one's not going to bend nearly as well. So I would say if you're only going to get one, get the thicker one. Not that they're that expensive, but if you are dealing with any kind of a curved surface, definitely want to get the thinner, flexible one. I think you can get them down to 15 thou, but ours are 20, which is quite thin. Same thickness as a saw blade on our dovetail saw. Here's Frick. So let me just give you a quick little update on what's happened in the last little bit. So I had Kip Christensen. Kip is actually I'm going to grab his book. Just hold on just 1 second. Do you know where it is, Jake? Just found it. So Kip has written or co-authored several books. This is one he gave me recently. It's called Beneath the Bark, 25 Years of Wood Turning. So this has covered the work that's been done at the Utah Symposium, which is a wood turning event, probably one of the biggest when the time that it was running. And they had the best wood turners from all over the world. And this is a collection of that work, and it's some incredible, absolutely incredible work. Oh, there's Tommy Sorensen. So this is work by Tommy Sorensen, if you can see it. I met Tommy back in 1987, and Tommy's a production turner who still turns today. So he does all this stuff by hand. He could compete with an automatic lathe. He's so good, and the detail that he can provide you can't get on production turnings. Anyway, really interesting book. Didn't mean to get too deep into that. But what I wanted to show you is some of the stuff that he did. So we had 7. He did two 3-day classes. The first class was a spindle turning and sharpening, kind of a beginning class. I think we had 5 in that class, and then we had 7 or 8 in the second class, which was bowls and boxes. So here's some of the things that he did. So this is a twig vase. This is made out of mahogany. He didn't finish sand it. And it's not hollow, but it's drilled out and then turned down in. Can you see in there, Jake? You can see down inside.
Oh shoot!
What's that mean?
Lost.
We're gonna get it back.
We have the sound. We just don't have the video. It'll be right back.
It's back?
Yep.
Okay. There's the bottom. Everybody always wants to see the bottom. Nice profile. Kind of a Greek thing. He grabbed these dead wreaths, whatever they are, made it look nice. This is the box that he did. And this is done out of maple. So they all the students did, I think, 2 boxes. So it wasn't a fancy wood they were shooting for. It was just the technique, but quite a really nice fit. In fact, when you go to close it at first, it bounces back until the air equalizes, and then you can actually close it and shut. And oh yeah, that's right too. They did they did some inlay and some decoration with the chatter tool, but that's just the kind of detail that he puts on them. Nice little box. Then he's made hundreds of these, if not thousands. That was a quick turn. I don't think they spent more than 5 minutes on that. That's a little spinning top.
Yeah, we can make 45 in an hour.
You make 45 in an hour? And then this is a Christmas tree. Has a little screw eye in the top. And if you make them out of wet wood, when they dry, all the little pieces in here go all ripply. He showed an example of one. Now, he also is going to start doing something for us. I think he's going to start supplying us with some chisel handles. So if you come in on here, I'm going to introduce you some new chisels that we have and the handles that you may have an option at. So below 1/4 inch, we now have a 3/16, an 1/8, and a 1/16. Willie makes all of these. Can't believe how often that actually becomes very useful. these handles, this one and this one, is dyed box elder burl. And it's really pretty wood, but when you dye it, resin infused and dyed. When you dye it, for some reason, some parts of the wood don't take the dye, so that's where you get that variation in the color. And then here's one done in blue, and you can see the figure in the wood, and you add into that the part that some of the dye doesn't take on some of the wood, and it's really, really nice looking stuff. One more thing, I think I already told you this, but I'll just remind you. So for everybody that comes to a class from now on is going to get a PHP patch. I've already forgot what that's called. And I forgot what this called. Scroll. That's the scroll. And what's this? Tab. That'll have their the year and the month that they participated. And we'll pause and do a couple questions. Then I'm going to come back and show you some stuff that a friend of mine made that was in the class. Oh, I just got back from Florida. I taught 2 one-day classes. Had some fantastic results. Both classes were full. That's at the Woodcraft store in Orlando, and I'll be back doing that again in January. We haven't got the dates yet to release, but we will shortly. Question, Frick. Welcome back, Frick. Actually, just welcome. You weren't back.
Yeah. First question is from Jerry, Salt Lake City.
I thought we already attempted that one.
Oh, I didn't know Jake read any.
We never did ask it, though. Jerry in Salt Lake City.
How do you polish the scraper with the stones?
No, I was using this.
Well, I just downloaded it. Same. Oh, okay. Stefan in Kansas.
What happened to Jerry?
We already asked it.
No, we didn't do it.
Oh, I don't even know where this list came from. These aren't the edited ones from Luther.
Yeah, I was given the unfiltered one.
Oh.
Okay, fine. Jerry says, how do you polish the scraper with the stones?
How do you polish the scraper with the stones? Okay, well, let's do one. So, first of all, let me tell you a little bit about this. Shameless promotion. So we carry sharpening stones. Yes, we do. We also carry scrapers. Same company that makes our saw blades does these. We have Chris, who is our friend at Engineer up in Fredericton, grinds them for us. So when you get them, the edges have already been polished, so you don't have any rough marks, and they're nice and straight, so you can go right to your stone. So I'm going to take this. Jake, you're going to have to move the camera. Oh, you know what else I don't have? Where's my apparatus? Thought it was right here. You want to see if you can find me one of each while I talk about this? The idea, and I'll explain a little bit about this. Behind preparing your...
Stay here or there?
Yeah, I'll stay here. The idea behind preparing your scraper is very similar to what you're going to do with a plane blade. Plane blade consists of 2 surfaces, the back and the bevel. And your edge can only be as good as the lesser of the 2. So if you ignore the back and you only polish the bevel, if you look at it under a bit of a magnification, and we actually have a new magnifier I'll introduce to you too, which is really nice because you can actually see. Find that for me too, would you please, Jake? No. Why? Well, I can still use it. Well, then bring it to me so I can use it, please. If you look under magnification of a blade that's only had the bevel polished and not the back, you're going to see this serrated edge where the scratches on the back are going to, when they get to the edge, are going to leave you with that very irregular surface. So you have to do both, back and bevel. So same idea with the scraper. You have to polish the edge and you have to polish the side. But what has always been done is that they would go in, you might have to get me a new one.
No, it's in your...
What they would do is they would go in and they would literally lay that great big, think about this now, look how wide that is. You only use out here. And they would lay that down on the stone and run it forth and back with their fingers, which, as far as I'm concerned, is only going to put shiny spots underneath where the pressure of your fingers are. And I got thinking about it one time, and I said, well, why not do what Charlesworth does, which is just polish, you can see this one, just polish the edge or some small part of the edge, the stuff that actually gets used. So we made some jigs to do that. This is made out of torrefied maple, has 3 magnets in it, and you set that on your scraper like so, and it's held back from the edge by about a quarter of an inch. And then you have your steel rule. I'm going to actually go through and do this. You have your steel rule on the side of your stone, which is going to elevate it. Just a small amount. Now, when you work the edge or the surface of the stone, I'm having a hard time here. My teeth are getting in the way. When you work the flat side of the scraper and you set it down like that, obviously it's on a bit of an angle. When you push down with this block, that puts even pressure all the way around, all the way along, a quarter of an inch in, which means it's going to allow that last little bit of the scraper to bend so that you're going to get a little bit of a flat polish area right along there. Cuts down so much time. You also need to do the edge. In order to do the edge, you've got to hold it upright like this. Well, you're not going to be able to do that by hand. So we have another device, again with torrefied wood, so the moisture doesn't affect it, but also so it doesn't wear on your stone. And you're going to hold that like so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here. I'm going to start with my 1000 grit. I don't know whether I'm going to go through and do the whole thing because we don't have a whole lot of time. Well, let me just at least walk you through part of it. We can use the scraper on the one we've already done. So I set it like this, and I hold the blade against this tool, and I move it like this, forward and back. And I'm slowly rotating it like this while I'm moving forward and back. And the reason I do that is so that I don't wear one area of the stone. So I'm actually using the full width of the stone because I'm doing this on an angle. So I would go through, and depending on the quality of the edge that you start with, might take a little bit of time, it might take a lot of time. But I've got a magnifier. You just said it somewhere. Which one?
Nope, right side. Third one down.
Guess again. 4th one down. So this is a 10 power magnifier. Nice thing about it is you put something right against that surface and it's in focus, and it's got a light on there so you can go in and have a real close look and tell if you still have a lot of scratches that need to be removed. And all you're going to see at this level is just going to be a color. It's going to be a matte gray color. And that's what you're looking for. Uniform all the way, end to end. When you've got that, then you can progress to the next grit. So then I would, when I'm happy with that, and I'm not, this would need more work, I'd move up to the 6,000 grit stone, and I'd replace all of the 1,000 scratches with the 6,000, and then I would go to the 16,000. And when you get to the 16,000, I don't know if you can see it, but you're going to get a high polish like that. Mm-hmm. Then once that's done, then I've got to do the back. And you want to do the this side and this side, this side and this side, that edge and that edge. You can actually do those if you want, although it's a little bit awkward to hold. But now you've got 4 working surfaces, which means you're going to do a lot more work before you've got to come back and redo this. Okay, so now when it comes time to preparing the face, steel rule on the side. This has got powerful magnets in there, so it'll hold on to that. And the block means when you apply the pressure, it's going to put it right out here and cause that last little bit to bend. I like to keep it well lubricated so that it moves easy. Now, I can't really move this around a lot, so I pretty much have to stay in the same spot. So when you get into the other stones, the ceramic stones, you're going to want to use both sides of the stone. And you can move a little bit, but you just don't have a whole lot. Not like we did when we used the edge, we could use the entire surface of the stone. This does not allow for that.
Why are you holding the ruler there?
Good question. I forgot. We have a new rule. And I'm putting a fair bit of pressure on here because I want that scraper to lay flat, to flex and lay flat. Now, I'm going to do the same thing with this in terms of surface prep. I'm going to keep working it. Now you can see if you can see. Can you pick up on the fact that there's a polish along there? It gets a little thin out there. But when I can see a polish, it goes all the way, and then I'm come in here with the magnifier and have a close look. I don't know if you're going to be able to see 1,000 grit scratches. Maybe you can, depending on what your eyes are like. But when it looks the same all the way, end to end, then you can progress to the 6,000. And then you're going to replace the 1,000 grit scratches with the 6,000. And then you're going to replace the 6,000 with the 16. Now, I'm just thinking if we want to do this right now. How many people do we have on, Frick?
310.
Okay. So let me just pause. He wanted to know how to prepare it, so I just told you how to prepare it. I'm going to go in and actually sharpen it and use it, but I want to do a couple things first. When did you arrange for Ralph?
I told him it'd be around between 8:30 and 8:40.
Okay, good.
Well,
Okay.
That's our time, not...
Well, halfway through, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I was in Florida, and John, now I don't know, he didn't say I could use his last name, and I didn't ask him, but we'll just call him John from from Tennessee. But he presented me with this, which he made. He was in the class. This is says to Rob Cosman, thank you for everything you do for the veterans with the Purple Heart Project in memory of Super Dave Benson. Very nice of him to do. So this is made of bird's eye maple, Purple Heart. This is landscape wood. No. Zircote, and it's all inlaid. So I'll put that up on my wall. Very nice. I actually drilled a little hole I can hang it on too. But I want to show you these. I bought 4 of them. So he's going, this is awesome that he's doing this. He's a nurse, and he made these to take to a craft show in Nashville. I think it was this weekend. And he's selling them as fundraisers for the Purple Heart Project. So they have little, what's that called again? A little eye. So these are Christmas tree ornaments, guitar Christmas ornaments. Aren't they cute? Now, if I can tell you the wood, don't remember. This was spalted something. That looks like babinga. That's walnut. I don't know what the back is. But I'm sure if you're interested in some of these, email me and I'll put you in touch with them. But I think they'll go well in Nashville. I think he sold $400 worth at the class. Neat. And big thank you for helping out with the Purple Heart Project. That was awesome. By the way, we have class number 31 is arriving here. Actually, we changed the way we do it. We're now flying them in on Saturday. It was getting really crazy trying to get that many people have all their flights land within a 3 or 4 hour period on Sunday before the class. So big shout out to, what's the name of the hotel down there that's given us a great deal? Do you remember? It's the hotel right, what is it? The Aviator. The Aviator Hotel in Bangor, Maine. It's right at the airport. If you're ever there, give them their business, please. Gave us a great deal. So we fly all our guys in on Saturday, and everybody collects there, stays at the hotel, and then we go down and pick them up on Sunday. So it's going to make things a lot smoother. We've had all kinds of situations where flights got delayed or canceled, and trying to get people rides. We're 3 hours from the Bangor airport. We're in Eastern Canada, New Brunswick. So we have a big class. We got 16 people at least for the first 2 days. This will be 7 and 2. This is going to be, we will have had 211, I think, if my count is right, 211 combat wounded vets go through our program. We have 3 ladies in this coming class. I don't think we've ever had that before. So we'll have to mind our manners. All right. Next question, please, Rick.
Stefan in Kansas says, would the scraper be good for removing plane tracks?
Stefan, yes, but your best way to remove plane tracks is with your plane, and is to eliminate the plane tracks. And I'll address that for a moment. When we teach planes and sharpening on the very first day of the class. And the thing that seems to be the number one issue, once they learn to sharpen, the number one issue is sighting down the sole and having it so that the blade is parallel to the sole. So this thing right here is called the adjustar, and when you turn that in a clockwise rotation as you're looking at it, the blade's going to come out. And you need to be able to look and see if the blade is parallel to the sole or is more sticking out on one side than the other. If you have more projecting on one side or the other, then it's going to leave a ridge where the edge of the blade passes through the wood. And you run your hand over it and you can feel it. Well, one of the things that we do to minimize that is we feather the corners. And I can do that real quick for you because this blade actually needs to be sharpened. I'm combining these two topics because I firmly believe that domestic woods can be better planed than they can be scraped. I save most of my scraping for exotic woods or for the odd occasion when I actually need to get rid of a blemish that I just can't remove with my plane. I don't know why I have so many stones sitting here, but now, first thing I need to do, and the same goes, I didn't mention this, but when you're preparing the edge of your scrapers with your ceramic stones, you can't stay in one spot very long. Don't spend more than a minute without switching sides. And I brought that up because I just happened to use the lapping plate. So set that down on my primary bevel. Now we're going to focus on doing the corner. So find your primary, come up 2 or 3 degrees, spend about 10 seconds working what we call a secondary bevel, or creating a secondary bevel, which is just slightly higher than the primary. Once you can feel a burr, then I'm going to go over here to the 16,000. And I'm going to do the exact same thing, except I'm going to come up just a little bit higher. And I'll spend about 10 seconds doing these little circles, moving around the stone so as to even out the wear. Now I've got something on there. What is it?
Spray it off.
Piece of grit or something. My blade kept hitting it. Find your primary, come up a little bit higher. So after about 10 seconds, without changing anything, simply push down for 3 seconds on one corner, being my index finger of my right hand. It takes me longer to say that than to do it. And then you switch and use your pinky to push down harder on that corner than you are at the rest of the blade. And what that does, it has a tendency just to ever so lightly feather off the outside corners. So if I put a straight edge on there now, I should be able to see a little bit of light between the straight edge and the edge of the blade on both sides. Of course, your final step is to come in and apply the Charlesworth ruler trick. If you don't have one of these, they're not very expensive, but these are our new sharpening rules. And what's nice about them, we've always tried to come up with a way to hold that in place. There's a hook. Can you see it? There's a hook on the end. And that allows you to catch the edge of the stone, and then you can pull on it back here, and that'll hold it in place. You're still going to have to do one-handed, but that's not a big deal. Get rid of the burr, and now you're in business. That is the best way to get rid of plane tracks. And don't be afraid. I just got all my teeth fixed, and it's like I got somebody else's teeth in my mouth. I had worn my teeth down almost 3/16 of an inch between the top and the bottom. So I haven't been getting used to my bite closing here instead of closing there. So I'm slurring a bit. No, I don't drink. What was I just about to say? I think what I was saying is, in the process of trying to get rid of those plane tracks, you want to watch and see where the shaving comes out. And if the shaving should be in the middle. If it's on one side or the other, you're probably going to have a plane track on the side it's coming out of. So you just go in there with your lateral adjustment lever and just move it ever so slightly to get it to a point where your shaving is in the middle. And then you should be able to control your plane tracks. And then if you can't, do it again. But yes, you could go in and use your scraper. But, you know, I like that nice flat surface. That's why I hate even going in and fixing an area, because you're literally creating a little bit of a divot. Next Frick, please. Big shout out to Angie. Angie is Ken's cousin. This is Angie right here. She does all of our, she and her sister Lynn do all of our t-shirts, all of our Purple Heart t-shirts. They package them up neatly. Little seal of approval on there. Hey, Ange. Big thank you. Frick?
Next one's from John T. Root Jr. in Greenbrier, Arkansas.
Hi, John.
If hand planes get wood ready for finish, why use a card scraper?
That's a good question. So I'll go back to what I said. Card scrapers work really good on woods that you almost can't plane. I'm looking over here and I see some woods that you try to plane, the wood does not respond well, and they tend to be very hard tropical woods. Under that circumstance, then scraper actually works better. But I always try to use my plane first and foremost. And it's only when that won't deliver that I switch and use a card scraper. So in fact, when I used to represent Lee Nielsen and people would call ordering a scraper plane, I would always ask them, I said, is there something in particular that you're getting this for? And they said, well, I'm dealing with bird's eye maple. I said, well, bird's eye maple actually will respond better to a hand plane than it will to a scraper. And that would lead us into a whole discussion about sharpening. Most people that woodwork have never had any professional instruction on sharpening, and as a result, anybody that comes to our class, what they go away with is the ability to sharpen, and they frequently make the comment, I thought it was sharp until I had my sharp index redefined. So if you're still in that area where you think you need to scrape domestic woods, talk to me about sharpening, because that's your planes, because that's probably where 90% of your problem is. Next, Frick.
You want to do the call?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Get him on the line here.
So how are we going to, am I coming over there?
Yeah. Jake, I'll need your microphone.
Where do you want the camera for?
You can just leave it there. That is if he answers. There we go.
Where is he? Ralph.
Don't wait. Don't talk yet. All right, go ahead. Hey, Ralph.
Hey.
Where is he? Where can I see him? Down there?
Yeah.
Yeah, your hair looks fine, Ralph. Don't worry about it.
We're
not
matching today.
What's that?
We're matching shirts today.
Sort of, kind of. Black and blue. Sounds like you spent the day with Luther. So what I want, can I sit here first? Yeah. What I want to do I need to have this in my face? Can I move it? I have my own microphone, right? We've been at this for 9 years. We've had 31 classes. Over 200 soldiers go through our program. The people that participate in our live are the ones that help finance this. And I want to start letting them know. Hey, Frick, I'm getting an echo. Frick? Yes. I want to let them know what the results are. So I thought, you know what? Every time we do this, we'll have bring somebody on that's been through the program and give us an update. And you've been highly involved, so I need you to kind of tell everybody. But first of all, what class were you in? Do you remember?
I do. August 22.
Wow.
It was the lucky August class.
2 years ago. So tell us, give us whatever you're comfortable telling us, give us a before and after, and what your involvement with the PHP is, and what woodwork has done for you.
So I've always enjoyed woodworking. I got it from my grandfather and my father. And then through the 20 years in the Army, I never got that much better. I enjoyed it. It was something I could do to relieve the stress, I guess. You get home off of a long day at work and just go out and be by myself with my thoughts in the shop. But it wasn't until I retired and watching your videos, I found out about the Purple Heart Project. It was my wife who actually encouraged me to apply. And I was like, nah, this isn't really for me. I'm not that bad. I'm not to that point. And she's like, no, you need to apply and see what happens. So I did, and Luther called me and told me that I was accepted, and I came up to Canada for a week, not knowing what I was getting into. I've never done hand tools. I've never made dovetails. That was never what I did. It was construction grade kind of woodworking. And I fell in love with everybody up there. Not only your family, and Danny Bell and Jesse came in real quick for a visit during that class. Everyone in my class, we still talk weekly, if not more than weekly. I think what it gave me was the ability to go out and just be happy with my thoughts, if that makes sense.
Speaking of that, can you tell them a little bit about your service history?
Yeah, 20 years in the United States Army. I spent 12 years or so at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, jumping out of planes and being deployed. I was a drill sergeant for a couple of years. I went down and ran tests for the Army out of Fort Hood, Texas, which is now Fort Cavazos, I believe. And then I retired as the first sergeant of a basic training company at Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri. I have deployed to Iraq twice, Afghanistan twice, spent a year in Korea, and a summer in Honduras. So,
What was your MOS?
I was a combat engineer, so everything explosive, mobility, counter mobility, and survivability. Our main focus, my first deployment to Iraq was during the invasion. I went with the 75th Ranger Regiment. We cleared the way into Iraq. I went back to Iraq and we started the route clearance mission, finding IEDs and making sure roadways were safe for other people. Right there in and around Baghdad. I went to Afghanistan and was in the mountains in RC East doing the same sort of thing. Supported Special Forces down in Kandahar. And then my last tour, we were down near Kandahar doing the same thing, route clearance.
And you said you found out about Purple Heart Project through YouTube?
Yeah, I was watching YouTube videos, Mark Spagnola and some of those other ones, just flipping through woodworking videos, and I came across yours. And having no clue about hand tools, I started watching them, and I fell in love with the process, and my wife encouraged me to join. I think that's the same. What I hear most often and what I share with other veterans is you do deserve it. Rob is looking for people just like you. No one thinks that they deserve to go. I think is the biggest problem for veterans. And I wish I could explain it better for the people who help and support and who donate all the money that is needed to run the Purple Heart Project. None of us, I don't know how to explain it very well, I guess. We don't, most of us don't think we deserve to get something back. We didn't do what we did in hopes of getting something on the back end. We did that stuff because we thought it was right.
Yeah.
So getting the little bit of recognition isn't the importance. Getting the knowledge on how to cope with our own, what's going on in our own head was good.
So what kind of a difference has it made for you since you got it's been 2 years?
It has. So
Your dovetails are awesome?
I get better every day. When I have a rough day, my wife sends me out to the shop and says, "Go make some dovetails." So I've made my daughter a box. Just every day I tried to practice. I heard one of you were talking one day about when you were in college, going in and doing a dovetail every day. And I said, if Rob can do that, I can do that. I'm retired. I can do that. And so I started doing a dovetail every day, whether it was a corner or something else. And I've gotten a lot better than I was when I was in the class. And I've tailed off a little bit. My wife and I just had a baby, so
congratulations.
I haven't been out there. Thank you. Haven't been out as much as I'd like, but I still get out every other day to make something and do a dovetail. Like plane some wood, the calming, listening to the plane go over the wood or the saw cut through the wood and the chiseling. It's something that for 20 years, you're in the military, you're used to a routine and a schedule and you do this step and then this step and then this step. So being able to do that in the wood shop is glorious. It helps, calms me right down, recenters me, makes me happy.
So you're in your wood shop and you're able to do that because there's an appliance in there. Where'd that come from?
Oh, everything came from the Purple Heart Project. I have an amazing workbench that I wouldn't be able to do anything with.
Who built your workbench?
Art. I forget his last name, but Art built it for me.
Didn't I just meet him?
You might have. I don't know.
Who? Oh, Brett, sorry. It was Brett's builder that I met.
Yeah.
But you're coming up here. When are you coming here? We settled on a date yet?
July. Next year I'll be up there.
July. So you're coming up to be my assistant. That's why all the practice, right?
Yeah. Well, I was doing it before. I got to come down and help and support when you came down to Kansas City. And then when you were down at St. Louis with Mark Spagnola, I came down for both of those. So I'm excited to get back up to Canada and hopefully I can help or at least, go get tools and more wood.
We got you on security detail.
I can do that too.
Ralph's a little bigger than the average person. Hey, wrap this up by telling them your involvement with PHP now, please.
So currently I am the CFC manager, which is the Combined Federal Campaign, which in the United States is an approved list of charities for federal employees, from postmen to the military to the IRS agents. Anyone who's in the federal government is eligible to donate to the CFC. And the Combined Federal Campaign is a huge event that lasts months here in the United States to get federal workers to contribute to nonprofit charities. And so because it's approved charities through the government, there's more hoops that we have to jump through as a charity. And we passed all of them. So the government said we are a legitimate charity, which we already knew that before, but the extra steps that took place had to happen so that we could be on the registry. And so now every federal employee, when they look at their CFC website book, will see the Purple Heart Project right there.
Awesome. And we are a 501c3 in case anyone didn't know.
Yes.
And now you can support us, and the government will kick in. They match the donation, right?
Some do. This is just an approved list of charities for federal employees. And some, you'd have to talk to Brent about the employee matching.
Right. I was confusing that.
No, you're good.
All right. Well, listen, I appreciate you doing this. You were great. I look forward to having you up here next July. It's awesome.
I can't wait.
Food's fantastic.
absolutely delicious. I don't know what I'm more excited about, getting some more woodworking knowledge from you or eating that food again.
I know what I'm excited about. Get to do it all next week. All right.
Thanks, Rob.
Well, Ralph, thank you. I appreciate all the work you put in. It's awesome, and we'll keep it going.
For everyone who donates, I can't say enough, and how much it's changed me and the lives of at least the people in my class. Like I said, we talk every week. They do great. I appreciate it so much. Changing lives without knowing it.
Yeah. Yeah, and in such a short period of time. But wood is good, right?
Exactly.
All right. Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, brother. How tall is Ralph, Jake? 6'6" or how taller? And he's got the width to go along with it.
Oh, I thought you were asking about his width.
So we will we won't have any problems that class. All right, Frick, next question. How are we for time? I got 14 minutes. We'll do our draw. So we give away a prize for every $1,000 that we raise. A nice prize, usually in the $200 to $300 range. We save that for Thursday because on a live event, which is what we're doing right now, before the class starts, we save the second hour for the Thursday night in the class so we can go through and introduce you and show you what's going on, show off their dovetails, and give them an opportunity to give a shout out to the people that support them and their families and anyone they want to talk to. Question, Frick. Oh, somebody sent you a text while I was over there in your seat.
Okay.
Something about a dead cat sweater.
All right. Next one comes from Dave. No, wait, no.
Oh, speaking of which, I just want to mention something. Tragedy struck one of our close associates. You all know Moose. He's been donating dead cat. He comes up every Thursday night of the class and brings every one of the soldiers a dead cat sweater with the Purple Heart logo on there to take home and remember us by. And he has 2 boys, and he lost his youngest son just a couple of weeks ago. It was a tragedy. And that really hits home. So he, I called. I contacted as many vets as I had contact information for, and most of them, if not all of them, sent him a note just expressing their condolences, and it meant a lot to him. He's told me that. He'll speak for himself on Thursday when he's here. Frick.
All right. Next one comes from Brian Kavayat in Washington, D.C.
Hey, Brian.
What are the pros and cons or different usages of different thickness scrapers?
Well, we already covered that one.
Okay. Is there this is from Dan in Fall River, Nova Scotia. Is there a particular brand of scrapers you prefer?
Yes. Let me think. What's the best one? Oh, ours. All right. Let me spend the last little bit preparing this one, unless you can come up with some more. So I'm going to go in and get this one ready to go again, meaning it's dull. It's got to be resharpened. So I'm just going to come in here. I'm going to go back to the 16,000. Should spray it. And I'll just get rid of any remnant of the original burr. We'll do both.
That would be a good question, though.
What?
When you're resharpening, do you need to go back to the 1,000 every time?
No, I don't think so. I'm using a 16. Let's see how it works. I'd hate to have to go back and do all that polish. Now I'm going to come back and hit the, oops, wrong side. Clean that off. I keep thinking there's something else we're supposed to be mentioning. What is it? Oh, I know what I'm going to do. Can you get the camera, Jake? I'm over here. If If you've been following us for any amount of time, you'll know that this forever project behind me that I can't believe we've been working on for 10 years, we decided to get these little drawers done. So if you'll notice, I'm down to 2. Isn't that cool? Every one of them dovetailed front and back. Fit like we fit all of our drawers. No side to side, only a little bit of up and down. And 2 left. I should be able, actually, I was going to say I should be able to get them done this week, but I won't because we have the class in. All right. So, I don't feel any burr on there, which I didn't want to. So now what I'm going to do is put this, do we still have it? I don't know if that'll hold it up far enough or not. Set that in place. Now, I took the time once to make a burnisher. I spent a ton of time preparing it. In fact, I've got it right here. Can't tell you how many hours I worked on that burnisher. I don't like round ones because the contact point is so small. You push a little too hard and you leave a little dent. So I had no sooner done that, and one day I was looking at my tool cabinet, and I thought, holy smokes. I've got highly polished burnishers sitting there looking at me. And the idea is that the steel on the burnisher needs to be harder than the steel on the scraper. So I just put a piece of tape on the cutting edge. This is that good yellow tape that we use all the time, dovetailing. That'll just protect my fingers. Jake, where am I going to find some oil?
There's lapping fluid right there, right at your arm.
This is just to make it a little bit...
Less squeaky?
Yeah. I got to get this place cleaned up before class arrives. Now, that's quite a bit of an angle. Let's see if it works. So I'm just going to run that side to side. Until I can feel a burr has been developed. And then I'll turn it around and do the other side. And I put it in here just so that when I set it in place, it's now going to, that edge is going to remain parallel to the bench top. Not a ton of pressure. Okay, wipe that off. Wipe this off. Now let's put this piece of cocobolo in the vise. Now, when you start doing this, the first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to determine the best angle, depending on where the burr is, how aggressive or non-aggressive. So you may be down here, you may be up here. You'll find out as soon as you start to scrape with it or cut with it. It'll tell you where it is. So if I went down too low, it doesn't do anything. I'm up too high, it won't do anything. But if you get right where that
Your blade's sharp and your plane. Do you want to
Okay.
Do you want to try comparing them?
Oh, you mean planing the...
Yeah.
Good. Oh, I did a better job on this side, I can tell by the way it feels.
Can you stop
Gets hot.
mid-stroke?
Huh?
Stop mid-stroke so we can see the shape.
Stop mid-stroke. Now, see if we can plane this. This is not what I would typically use. I would probably go in with a high-angle blade. A high-angle blade is where we make a high angle blade where we put a 20-degree back bevel on the plane, on the plane blade. So just so that you understand that, I'm keeping my eye on the time. So normally, the back of the blade is flat. So you're planing at 45 degrees because the frog holds the blade at 45 degrees. That's the angle that you meet the wood. So if you put a back bevel on the back side, and we put a little back bevel about a couple millimeters wide, 20 degrees, down like that. So now if you factor in what your angle of attack is, you've got the 45 degrees of the frog, but then you got the blade going down like that at 20 degrees. So now you're planing at 65 degrees, which is called a high angle. It's a lot harder to push, but it performs extremely well on highly figured woods. Did I do this already? I don't think I did.
Yeah, you should have, because you waxed it.
I did it without even realizing it. All right, so I got the blade fully retracted. No, I thought I did. So I'm going to start spinning the adjuster knob. Surface isn't flat, so that's why I'm not getting anything yet. It'll eventually come. Now, I could also stand to close the throat down if this was tearing at all. I don't know if it is. I'll have a closer look here in a second.
Something's happening to the surface. Notice how it's changed color?
Yeah,
This spot right there.
let me have a close look. Where's my... Okay, so you're not going to be able to see it. So this is what we would call road. So we have bands of grain. So I've got from here to here, the grain is running this way. But from there to there, the grain is running that way. And from here, here to here, it's running that way. Actually over to here. But go this way, so the grain's running this way. And then you can see torn grain here, torn grain there. So you've got areas where you've got the grain reversing. So you might be able to get rid of that with a high angle approach and a tight throat. Well, let's go in and see if we can change that. I'm going to look at it closely. I'm going to go right in here and see if I can get rid of that with the scraper. I can't just do that one spot. I've got to go around it. Oh, this is hot.
That's the thin one, isn't it?
Nope.
That's the thick?
Yeah. But that really generates a lot of friction. All right, let's have a close look. Okay,
You
so
can see the color difference on the camera.
so we are not all the way at the bottom. There's still an area right there where it's torn. But most of this has all been corrected and is no longer torn. I wonder if I can get over here. So if you were going to try to plane this, you wouldn't get the perfect surface you're hoping for without scraping. So there, that's nice. Now get rid of all that. So there's the value. Isn't that pretty? There's the value of your scraper. And you want to be able to produce shavings like that. So we, little promotion. Stones. You want to get, if you want to go the less expensive route, you want to get the diamond plate. We certify them, meaning everyone we bring in, we have them manufactured for us, but they test them, but we test them. So everyone goes on our granite block and gets checked. It's got to be within 1.5 thou over the length in order for us to ship it as premium. And that is what you use to start your sharpening, the 1,000. The 300 grit side is what you use to flatten your stones. And then the ceramic stones, the Shaptons, 6,000 and 16,000, you need a holder. That's your sharpening kit. We have our We have our scrapers, and they have a nice little pouch to keep them in. Worst thing about the scrapers, they get beat around in your tool tray. So you can put them in your little pouch, keeps them nice. And we have 2 tools that we provide. This one is for doing the edge, torrefied maple, so it doesn't absorb moisture, doesn't change shape. And then the one for doing the edge, for doing the surface. And that's a block of torrefied as well with 3 magnets in there to hold it, narrower than your scraper so that it'll put pressure and provide you with that little wee highly polished strip without having to go in and do the whole thing, none of which you'd ever actually use. So there are scrapers. Any final comments, Frick?
Nope, Luther's been pretty active there in the chat.
All right.
1240 is what we have donated so far.
Oh, that's good. We'll add that to our Thursday night, and hopefully we'll have a big night. Good chance to meet all of these guys. So Thursday night, what time are we on? 7 Eastern? Yes, 7
Yes,
Eastern.
Yep.
7 Eastern, same place, same time. We will see you then. Have a good week. Thanks for being with us. Thanks, Rob.